Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Attack on Titan anime review. This one's going to be for Season 4, Part 2, Episode 6. So this episode mainly focused about, I suppose, for the most part, sort of like clearing up the battlefield on kind of Paradis Island in or around the walls. It's sort of, I think for the most part, I guess, like dealt with a lot of the action that was just happening here as the wall titans, to continue the rumbling, sort of, I guess, are going to head across the rest of the island out to sea to go after the rest of the world, which is what Eren wants to destroy. It will be interesting to see just how much sort of a transition there necessarily is there, because it seems like we need to sort of rally the troops ahead of sort of like an attack on all these wall titans to try and stop what they're doing. I'm guessing that's what we are building towards, is just everyone uniting together to stop this, because of course the people from the nations that are going to be hit by the rumbling want to stop it. And then it seems like a lot of our characters are going to come to the conclusion that, okay, even though Eren is doing this for us, this is not what we want, so we need to stop this. That all seems fine. There is the big, I suppose, cliffhanger ending to this episode, which was Annie is now freed from her prison, because they revealed that Eren, in doing what he did, seemingly has the ability to sort of like deactivate the powers of titans and stuff like that, in that like he deactivated all hardening, including obviously Annie's. This is revealed like through Reiner, and Armin of course is the one to really focus in on the fact that, oh, Annie's out, and we just end with the idea that, yep, there she is. And it will be so interesting to see where she's at in the middle of all of this, because you almost forget just how long ago Annie was placed in that crystal. That was like at the end of season 1. So the majority of the plot of Attack on Titan has happened since she's been in the crystal. Now, a lot of the reveals that, you know, she's sort of part of, in a way, like the Reiner Berthold team and stuff like that, means that she's more aware of some of the reveals that we got than we maybe initially knew. But there's still going to be a massive amount of kind of things that she has to sort of learn and take in. And just whatever decisions she makes and so on is going to be fascinating. It means, like, so as the female Titan is back, and however, you know, decisions she makes, like that's just interesting. I don't think there's too much to say other than, like, cool, I'm excited to see what's next with Annie. Beyond that, in terms of the main sort of like aspects of this episode, Gabby got a little bit of an arc here relating to, I suppose, what was one of the main plots from the part 1 of season 4, and that was like her and Kaya, and just, you know, she speaks to Reiner, he's sort of lost hope a little bit, she rushes into action, she switches up her hairstyle, ties it up, and I was kind of like, is it just me, or does she just look like Sasha? But then, yes, the episode commits to the idea that that was purposeful, is that, yeah, she actually does look like a young Sasha. So with the hairstyle, and then because Kaya respects Sasha so much for saving her, when Gabby rushes in and saves Kaya from a Titan, it's like that happening again, and she actually is like, says Sasha again. So that was kind of a cool way to, I guess, you know, bring that arc kind of to a close a little bit. You know, Kaya tried to kill her after she found out, you know, what happened. And just that whole idea of the kind of family, Sasha's family, like continuing to sort of take Gabby in and like call her by the Mia name and so on, showing the loyalty to her, not selling her out to the Paradis troops. That it was a nice kind of little bit of an arc to have for her. Of course, like you still feel sort of complicated about the character, but because she killed Sasha, but they've done enough with her to where she sort of now realizes, I suppose, the error of just viewing the Eldians as devils, which is sort of what's caused most of this conflict. We now know, I suppose, why they're viewed in that way because of the backstory from last time out. But the error, especially in present day, just labeling everyone like that. And again, it felt like for the most part they're bringing that arc to some sort of a conclusion of like Gabby has now reached a point where she is now much more developed and doesn't necessarily need to be convinced about this or that. She seems to be sort of at this point willing to just work against this tragedy that's happening, and that she regrets killing so many people just to gain renown for the Marleyans, and that, you know, from a certain point of view, she is a devil. Kaya views herself as a devil for being like a non-combatant in a way, and being willing to almost kill Gabby at one point. And then the guy behind them obviously just says that like it's a part of everyone, and just realizing that that just because you made a mistake or did something terrible doesn't mean the people around you aren't also capable of doing that. If you are, then other people are as well. So pretty nice kind of character arc, and I like that they're giving her that focus after she was such a major part of the first part of season 4. The other stuff I quite liked was I liked the conversation that like what was it like Connie, Armin, Mikasa, and Jean had. John leading the conversation for the most part of basically kind of saying like we in a way explain like there are reasons why we have to trust Eren because he's doing this for us, and they flash back to that brief scene from last season of Eren basically explaining that like you guys are the most important people to me, and they sort of connect the dots that he's wanting to basically wipe out the world except for the people close to him, except for Paradis Island. And I like how kind of John talks her through of like, I guess this is Eren's logic, and we are the ones who will ultimately benefit from this. So what do we do going forward? Do we just accept this, or do we actually try and fight against it? Now, this is where we get into the very interesting part of the episode, is that we never go to Eren's perspective. And I'm guessing we're not going to get his perspective until maybe right at the end. And if they do have more scenes with him in between then and now, I'm guessing they won't reveal too much like they've been playing Eren for most of season 4. That's going to be a really interesting decision if that's in fact how it goes. Because Eren's exact motivations of like him basically saying what his motivations are, and not just in a way sort of part of the like act that has been put on, because we've already seen that he's been acting a certain way to get on Zeke's good side and keep Zeke on side. So what's to say he's not acting sort of like the villain to create a certain situation and so on. So there's still a lot of questions you have about like you're almost expecting some sort of a twist with Eren where he'll turn things around, or is it just as simple as yeah, he's kind of lost it in just the despair of the situation that he finds himself in when he realized what was happening with the world. Of course, he kissed Astoria's hand and I guess saw his own future, and that's going to be very telling, like how he interpreted, I suppose, seeing, I suppose, the result of what he's about to do, and if that made him commit to it or not. Because I don't think, I suppose, we fully know like which way they're going with the time travel. Can you change the future? Can you not? Are you going to be locked into it, or are you going to be free to actually change that future? And for Eren, that seems like a pretty interesting idea. But if they don't cut back to him often because he's just part of the giant founding titan thing, it just makes him feel like the boss sort of at the end here that everyone's going to unite against. But the thing that they bring up in this is that they're expecting like, okay, well, I guess Eren is sort of protecting us. But then they realize like, oh, all the titans that Zeke screamed to create, he turned all like most of the high up military people into titans, like pure titans. They are just killing everyone. Like they say at the end of the episode, all of the Marley soldiers who invaded are dead, and at the end, all the pure titans are killed. But before that, they do just go around attacking anyone. So there's no sense of like Eren having such control over the situation that he's able to specifically direct these sort of mindless titans to not attack his friends. So that's kind of interesting in that, like, are they either creating a limitation on the powers of the founding titan, is that you don't have that level of control, or is it specifically that Eren doesn't have that much control because he was only able to activate this the rumbling because he effectively convinced Ymir to do this by basically playing on her anger of her situation from the past, of like, you can choose to make this decision yourself and not have to rely on other people making the decision for you. So she did what he sort of suggested, but she, I suppose, if the rumbling is informed by her anger for the most part, she doesn't necessarily know who's Eren's friends or not. So just sort of protect Eldia in general, as in don't trample over all of Paradis, but trample around the rest. That's sort of an interesting dynamic, which causes a lot of the action in this episode, as we get a lot of scenes very reminiscent of the Trost arc from right towards the start of season 1, the first sort of, I suppose, major sort of battle arc that we had that took place over a lot of time. We get a lot of scenes like that just with the new technology, and I suppose this was the one where we really saw the idea that our main characters are now the sort of high-ups in the military. Because the high-ups were just turned into Titans, they've basically been promoted into the leadership of effectively the entire island. And so seeing like Jean give out really strong orders, him be the one in charge, it definitely contrasts with I believe it was the Trost arc where we sort of saw that initial steps forward from the character of Jean, with like him wanting to just join the military police and not be involved in the action, and he had to step up a little bit in that arc to here he is as effectively the leader of the Paradis kind of military here, coming up with the plan and ordering all the panicking newer recruits to be like, gather up the thunder spears, meet us up here, everyone who is away from the situation, draw the Titans in with the 3D maneuver gear. And we got like the return of Shadis, Instructor Shadis, getting a little bit of a leadership role again with sort of the recruits he's trained and guiding everyone in. That was cool. And they just gave like sort of a big kind of hero moment of just getting to see like, you probably won't see too much of this going forward, but here's things the way they were at the start of, our characters are now effectively able to do sort of what kind of Levi was doing in the early series of just effortlessly taking out Titans at will. And so you get this kind of crazy situation where at the end they're able to say, like, within like half an episode effectively, oh yeah, we wiped out all the pure Titans. Wasn't a problem. Whereas you go back to the Trost arc, and this was this, like, what was it, like 8 something like that episodes just to deal with that situation, and they deal with it in like half an episode here. So like just how far things have come. Some other cool moments we did get, because like they're known characters that got turned into Titans here. You got the death of the Pixes Titan. I think Armin took him out. So there's a nice reference to that of like, you brought us this far, rest in peace, we'll do the rest type thing. The Titan that Gabby killed was Niles, I believe, as well. So that was kind of an interesting connection. There's probably some other ones that I'm not really remembering just off the top of my head, but they played on that thing quite well now that we know the idea that all the pure Titans are Eldians transformed. So that was interesting to see. On that point, we got I suppose, an interesting kind of turn of events with Falco, who they hadn't referred to in like the last 2 episodes, even though they're like, wait, he inherited the Jaws Titan. They hadn't brought it up until this episode, but that's basically what happened because of who Falco ate as a Titan. So he's a Titan shifter now. So they finally come back to the idea that, like, okay, they got him, they picked him out. Jean was specifically the one who's like, I believe he inherited the Jaw Titan, so we're keeping an eye on him. And he's sort of more taking the approach of like, I guess we'll feed him to one of our allies, maybe Commander Pixes, to get him back. That's the main use for him. and there's a bit of discussion here, and Connie gets some focus here of, no, if there's anyone we should feed Falco to, it should be my mom, so I can get my mom back. And he has this bit of a kind of out for himself moment here as he basically kidnaps Falco to go off and feed him to his mother. Now, I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I think Falco just is the Jaws Titan now. But I suppose it will create a situation where I'm guessing they will get to his mother, and we'll have a moment where either Falco is able to convince Connie not to do it and to maybe just accept that, like, your mother is gone and that this is just the way things should be, or something like that. I'm not sure what exact way that they'll go about it. Um, and what way do they do things from there? Like, because I'm guessing his mother as a Titan is still alive, so might he finally sort of like end her suffering? Because it was a bit crazy. Like I suppose you had reaction from certain characters to like, whoa, he's been going to see her for 4 years. Because like, yeah, Kaya's around, Gabby's around when they kind of reveal that. So that's a little subplot I didn't expect to happen. I just thought we'd sort of, Falco would wake up. He's a Titan shifter now, and at a key moment he would activate his powers and be helpful in some way. So is that all of the kind of plots that we have here? I suppose we had a little bit with like Yelena and that group, the kind of volunteer soldiers, whatever they're called, of being shocked that it doesn't seem like Zeke has control. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so sort of chaotic and just attacking everyone. And she's nearly like killed by a Titan. Like she can't bring herself to act. And if not for, I think Mikasa is the one who outside takes out a Titan. Is it Mikasa or is that the next scene? Either way, someone takes out a Titan on the outside, and the Titan falls like right next to her. We also get like the return of Flock, who's revealed to have survived. He comes in and just seems to want to imprison Yelena and all the others for, I suppose, basically betraying the cause, because he's loyal to Eren completely and what Eren wants, whereas they have their own thing that is more in line with Zeke. So that sort of makes sense. Again, the factions and everything playing out. Where this is ultimately building towards is that, look, the preview didn't give too much of an insight other than, I guess, what they were talking about is that, I guess, Annie is going to be sort of the highlight of the next episode. Then you're going to have to address, how do we go after and stop the rumbling? Because, well, one, they need to establish, this was what the situation is with, like, just Eren. And, like, I'm guessing he's just part of that giant Titan body, and is that on the move with the rumbling, or is he just locked in place? Is he following the Titans as they move out? And does that move the battlefield effectively out to sea, and then onto the landmass of the rest of the world, like Marley and so on? That sort of, I guess, makes sense to be what things are going, because they've been talking about airships quite a lot, and so our hero characters are going to need airships to actually get out to sea to attack the wall Titans. That makes sense that, like, we're sort of reintroducing Titans who I guess can also go out to sea, sort of. And I guess it positions Armin as being relatively important as well as the Colossal Titan. So that's going to be interesting to see, like, because I think the Wall Titans are... Oh no, the Colossal Titan is the size of the wall, so yeah, they're equivalent size. So he's like the only one who I suppose could stand up to one of them normally. So we'll see what the sort of power level type stuff is about. And then the other thing just to mention is we also haven't cut back to Levi in a while. That was from like the first episode, and this was episode 6, so we still haven't addressed, is Levi getting like medical attention somewhere? What state is he in? Hanji, similarly, as like one of the leader characters, I guess she would effectively be the leader, because she's the leader of the Survey Corps, and with all the high up military people gone, that would effectively promote her to sort of leader of kind of parity and the plan for the military. but she seems busy with protecting Levi. So the reintroduction of those characters is going to be key in terms of deciding what to do next. So I'm guessing we'll have some sense of a discussion about, like, are we all united with the idea that we have to stop Eren from doing what he's doing, even if that maybe means killing him? And I suppose that will play on the Mikasa arc of, if she, who is like the most powerful character now that Levi is, injured enough to where I suppose she now surpasses him as being the best fighter, is Mikasa capable of taking out Eren if she gets the chance? Or is she, like, in a way, like, whatever way, biologically limited from doing so because of the whole Ackerman thing and them connecting to a specific person? That could be an interesting thing if they build it up well enough. But yeah, I think that's everything from the episode. One of those ones where, like, it was a cool action set piece, kind of nostalgic in a way to some of the earlier action stuff. But I'm eager to see them, I suppose, properly set the stage for, like, the final action set piece. And I'm especially eager, probably the most important thing in the show, handling Eren going forward. Are we just not going to really see much of him outside of the fact that the giant Titan body that he's in is moving off, but we're never really going to get his perspective until maybe right at the end? That could spell trouble, I think, for the series, in terms of that feels like your key scene. If you don't nail Eren's motivations in all of this when he finally explains himself, a lot of this kind of, I think, becomes a little meaningless, but we'll see how that goes. So they're my thoughts on the episode. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.